blockbusters. You are listening to the Triple B Podcast. Let's fucking go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Triple B Podcast, Bourbon, Belts, and Blockbusters. This is the show where we talk about wrestling, talk about movies and blockbusters, all over a glass of bourbon or cocktail. I'm Tim.
I'm Ryan.
And we got episode 16.
Hell yeah.
Episode 16. And here we go, man.
Yeah,
Let's get to the
Let's
bourbon.
get into the bourbon.
Let's cash
Heck
it
yeah.
in, right? We're cashing in.
Timmy's turn this week.
Yeah. Love this case.
It's great.
I display it regularly when I have it.
It's fantastic.
So, with it being backwards, I'm going to open it, but then set it up to present to you.
Perfect.
Like you did to me.
I absolutely love that.
All right. We got the Noble Oak. We got the Noble Oak, everyone, right here. So, we're going to get right into that.
All right. I love it. While Timmy's getting this open, I will go through our socials real quick.
Perfect.
We got our Instagram, X, YouTube, and TikTok all listed at Trip B Pod. We got the podcast episodes, full-length episodes themselves are all going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and like I said, YouTube. And then we have our email at triplebpod619@gmail.com. Again, reach out to us there anytime. Shoot us ideas for things, different game ideas, different talking point topics for blockbusters, things you want us to potentially address when it comes to the wrestling side of everything. Hit us up there. And yeah, we are going to bust into this. What looks like a delicious bourbon. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So this is the Noble Oak Double Oak Bourbon whiskey finished with sherry oak staves.
It's going to be smoky, I bet.
It
Double
says,
oaked.
most of bourbon's characters comes from the wood. With Noble Oak, we elegantly marry two of the world's most coveted cask types. So let's give it a try. I got this at Safeway.
Those words, that's like flirting.
It is.
All right. I'm good. You got this at Safeway.
I got this at Safeway. It was $20 off. So,
What a steal.
so
We're always bargain shopping, everybody.
I
And
mean-
any chance we get, we're bargain shopping.
I mean, when you got to buy these so often.
I know, it's true. You
You
kind of
want-
have to.
You want to.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Let's get into it, man.
Let's do it.
Cheers.
No can do'sville, baby doll. Okay.
All right. All right. Let's gonna let you do the honors first.
I'm going to go with a 7.
I was actually thinking the same 7.
Yeah.
7 was
Yeah, I'm
what
gonna go with
first
the
came
7.
to my mind, and
I think it's better than both the two previous like smoky. Well, I guess we only had the one that was really smoky.
the double char.
Yeah, the Bibb & Tucker. And then the other one, I guess, was just because it was just like flat. It had no flavor. This one has flavor,
Yeah.
has good flavor. The smokiness is not nearly as intense,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like delayed.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
It was like I took the first drink and I was like, oh, okay. I could just kind of taste the flavor. And then I took as I was taking the second drink,
You're just like,
it was like smokiness. I was like, whoa.
yeah, and it
I was ready for the smoke, though, this time. I was ready for it.
definitely has like a kick, a delayed kick to the back
delayed
of your
kick to-
throat.
yes, absolutely.
So yeah,
yeah,
I think
not
that's
bad.
pretty good, and for the price,
yeah, for sure.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right.
That brings
Dude.
us to football.
Hell yeah.
We have week 2 in the bags,
We do.
and the Hawks 2-0.
Hawks are 2-0, man.
2-0.
To start the first time the franchise has ever been 2-0 with a new coaching staff.
Yeah, that was
Ever.
I know. and-
It's only technically ever happened once,
mhm.
one other time, but the dude took over like mid-season during the
Oh,
the
it's
strike year,
Yeah.
all that. So it was like the mid-season type thing he took over, and when they came back from the strike, they won the first 2 games, but then they lost the majority of the rest of the year and missed the playoffs. But this is the first time ever that we've gotten like a regular overturn
Mhm.
in the off season to then do a full off season and come back in the brand new season to start the year and go 2-0 to start it. So, we beat the Patriots last Sunday in New England, 23-20 in an overtime thriller.
My fear came true.
Your fear did come true.
It was
yes.
the running game that really got the best
and
of us.
Not at first, though.
No.
That was the thing, too. It was like the first half of the game, like both teams were at like 30-something. It was like 75 combined rushing yards in the first half, something like that. Yeah, it was the second half of the game that kind of, and it's tough because it was like our running game was shit.
Mhm.
We were not running the ball for anything. Zach Charbonnet is not a number one back. He's a very good complementary back.
Yeah, good in the catch or the passing game is more, I feel like, his forte.
Yeah. He's a bruiser, right? He's a bruiser that can move in the open field, like on the screen games or the swing route type stuff. But he's the type of dude that typically you are like, we need a little bit of short yardage. Give him the ball.
Yeah.
More than likely should pick it up, even though that didn't happen a couple times in that game last week. But shit happens. But I'll be interested to see tomorrow. But before we jump to tomorrow's game, that was one thing I wanted to ask was, do you think our running defense is a liability, or was that just a one-off? Because it was against a good running team. Like the Patriots have, over the first 2 games, have established themselves as a good rush offense, the ability to kind of control the time frame of the game and stuff, with exception to the whipping that the Jets put on them on Thursday.
I would just, I am still worried about the rush defense because that's always been one of our weak points, like, and
our bane, the bane of our for the last 10 years, right? Like really since we lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl in 2015, our rush defense has pretty much been a liability. Yeah,
and I guess, I mean, it obviously is new coaching staff, so it could be, not warranted, but just because that's in the back of my mind and always has been, and then sure enough, it was an issue. Yeah. But, I'm optimistic, and Dolphins are not at full strength, so hopefully, is it Arcane is their running back, doesn't come...
Chain.
Hopefully doesn't come rushing all over us. I will say, I liked the bounce back game from Geno. We couldn't run it very well through the air. We were crushing it, So
I read there's like I follow like the NFL app and stuff a lot, and like they always put out like a overreactions or reality thing like each week sometimes, or at certain points throughout the year they'll do it. And they did one after week 2. Then it was like overreactions or reality, and one of them was Geno Smith is the most clutch quarterback in the league, and then it was like overreaction or reality, and it said overreaction, but only because Patrick Mahomes is still a player.
Yeah,
right. And it was like, oh, that's fair, because I mean, no, like him or not, Patrick Mahomes is one of the most impressive fucking guys to watch play football. It's insane watching him.
Insane
things the things that he is able to do and just make it look so just swift and easy is super impressive. Yeah. So like obviously there's that. You can't take that nothing away from him there. But I liked the fact that it was like, because if you look at the stats, Geno is like top 3 or top 5 in almost every fourth quarter category. over the time that he's been the starter for Seattle now, which is this is year 3 now. Mm-hmm. So like he's done a lot of really good stuff, moving the ball, coming up clutch literally at the end of games, putting us ahead, leading us to either full-blown touchdown drives in the final, to go up in the final part of the fourth quarter, or overtime, or getting us at least in field goal range to give us a chance to win the game type thing. So I thought it was awesome to see our passing game come alive this last week, especially in the situation where it was like, our running game is nothing right now. Like our running game is terrible.
I really liked seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba really take over. Like,
dude, that's so. And Metcalf had a comment after, like, during this week that said, that should be a really big threat to the rest of the league.
Yeah,
knowing that like JSN's just getting started and he just put up 112 yards or 120 yards or whatever. And because Metcalf also put up over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, 100 yards. They both had 10 plus catches in that game.
And then there's still Lockett.
And there's still Tyler Lockett. Exactly. Which
Who
is
game 1-0, basically. So.
yeah. And yeah, so you have all of that. They're sounding like they're very optimistic that K9 will return next week against the Lions, especially with the extra day because it's a Monday night game. So that'll be good. One thing I was disappointed in, especially with how the run game was just getting shut down so bad last week, was the fact that we still have yet, I believe, at all to see an offensive rep from Kenny McIntosh in the regular season.
Yeah.
And so like that was kind of disappointing to me because it's like I get Charbonnet's our number 2.
Yeah.
He earned number 1's out, number 2 slides into that role. But then that means that McIntosh should become the number 2, which should be putting him in some type of role through each series, right? Like whether he's their third down back or whatever, like he's fast, man. And he's really good in space. So I would much rather, like, for what you said is Charbonnet's, good in the passing game. McIntosh is better, like, or should be better in that role just because he's faster, he's more agile, he's quick, explosive. I'd love to see them utilize that. So hopefully he'll get a little bit into the game plan tomorrow against Miami and just not lean solely on one person because I just don't think like that doesn't work.
You need to add wrinkles into the game plan.
Exactly.
So
I would love to see that because we talked about it last week and it was another thing again this week that I continue to hear is the team's just kind of praising the coaching staff for their ability to make adjustments and especially at halftime, right? Like that type of stuff and be able to hopefully see that adjustment get made going now into week 3 and then recognize, hey, we have this other weapon that we're not utilizing. K9's out. Let's see if he can do something. So I'd love to see that.
We got the Dolphins at home tomorrow. So what are your thoughts on that? And
dude, this game should be a win. I feel like realistically though, out of all of the games, out of the first 3 weeks, this is the one that I feel the most confident in saying that purely because, and it's unfortunate and it sucks, but they don't have Tua.
Yeah.
Right. And like Tua is the heart of that team. Like you can have Tyreek Hill, you can have Achane, but if you don't have somebody to get them the ball outside of handoffs, it makes it a little more difficult. And our tackling has been really good so far through the first 2 games. Hasn't been there was, a handful last week, but there always is, but it wasn't a shit ton of missed tackles like we have gotten kind of accustomed to over the last few seasons. You can tell it's a priority that they focus on in practice. So even if you're throwing the screen game to Tyreek Hill and stuff, it's like hopefully we'll have people swarming to take them down. And yeah, and I'm hoping that they have Skylar Thompson, who has literally done nothing in any of the time frames that he's had to make anybody scared or not. And then they just signed Huntley.
Huntley, yeah.
So also,
do we know who's starting tomorrow?
My assumption is Thompson is going to start just because like they just brought Huntley in.
True.
So you're probably better off, but they wanted that kind of veteran backup just in case that you could kind of plug and play. But yeah, so my hope is that with the quarterback situation, that our defense can just be like the scheme of, okay, let's focus on the run. Let's shut down Achane so that they have to beat us through the air because that hasn't happened so far. Like we have a pretty goddamn good secondary.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. It should be a win, I think.
Just hope we don't play down to them.
Hopefully
that's
not.
What happens in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cole McCoy led Arizona Cardinals.
Oh my God.
Haunts my brains.
Yeah, any time against Andy Dalton for some fucking reason. But yeah, McCoy and Dalton have probably been like 2 of the fuck, man.
Our kryptonite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I was gonna say something.
I think just the rush game still worries me, but but to your point, they almost have to be, in theory, one-dimensional.
Yeah.
With the run game, which we can plan for and stop, hopefully, you know. But there is still Tyreek Hill, and you gotta respect his game. So
Absolutely. Last thing I want to mention before we move on is just the. I think it's really good, and I think it is actually really important that obviously it would be nice to just like each week in the beginning of the year to just be like, oh yeah, Seattle just blew out another team. Fuck yeah, that's cool. But there's a lot more learning and a lot more development and growth that comes from winning these close games, right? So like we got to see a lot of this play out over the last 2 weeks. With week 1, we're up, 13. We give up a touchdown late. Now it's only a 6-point game. And then we get the ball back and let our offense just fucking plow and literally run the clock out. Right. Something that we talked last week, we haven't done in a long time. That's not something that we've been able to just do, is put a game away like that. Last week, our Gino drives us down to set up the game tying field goal. We end up going to overtime. Our defense stopped them. We got the ball back, and then we just knelt it and went to overtime. And then in overtime, our defense steps up, gets a stop, and then our offense puts a drive together to get down into field goal range and kick the game-winning field goal, right? So it's things that we haven't seen typically out of the Seahawks over the last few years, especially like since 2020. For the most part, it's been very up and down as to if it's a close game, you don't necessarily feel all that confident, because you're just like, fuck, our offense is going to shit the bed here, or god damn it, our defense is going to give it up, and now it's like 2 games back to back where I feel like we've been able to string things together, and with all the other stuff going on, those are definitely bright spots that are like, that's going to come back really good for us later in the year when you get used to playing these tight games. So
absolutely.
Yeah, man. Moving on to belts. Here we go. As we mentioned last week, we have shifted our content schedule. Now we're covering Raw to SmackDown. So just this last week's Raw to last night's SmackDown. So we are as fresh as possible on our content. You want to start it?
We'll start it.
For it,
Punk opens the show, and he's basically saying, see you in hell, Drew. We got the Hell in the Cell coming up at Bad Blood. CM Punk is basically saying, hey, you got to kill me to win this match, and if you're prepared to die, I'll see you in hell. Dude, it was a good promo. It's CM Punk is just really great on the microphone, and you could tell that he's in the right mindset for the match. It's not a great day to be alive in whatever city we're in or Portland. It was just he's full force going towards Drew McIntyre. So got me really excited about that. It was just Punk. There was no Drew McIntyre interruption here. So it was just, I like when they get that one-on-one time just to give their thoughts, really drive home what's going on with the feud. What about you? What were your thoughts on it?
I same exact thought. I love the fact that it was just Punk. There was no interruptions. There was nothing else. It was just him, emotional, intensity, fierce, just talking and just going. Because, I mean, like, we've said it multiple times. That's when he's at his best. It's when he's just given the opportunity to just cook on the mic. And he's the best in the world for a reason, like come on. And so, I loved the promo. It just got me that much more excited. I'm stoked for Bad Blood, dude. It's going to be such a fucking good card. I will be shocked if this isn't the best PLE since WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, like, it's the best card so far, I think, without a doubt.
And it's got long-term storytelling going into this PLE.
In almost every single match that is currently or is going to be added to it. Right. Yeah. So dude, no, I loved it.
Yeah.
We also got, speaking of good promos, we got another good promo between Jey Uso and Braun Breaker in the build-up to their IC match, which is going to be taking place next week on Raw, this coming Monday, 2 days from now. Also, another really good promo. I thought they both kind of just bounced off each other really well on the mic. Braun Breaker is just more and more coming into his own, just owning this persona that he's
Mhm.
building of just like, I'm a mean motherfucker, don't get in my way.
Mhm.
You know, he mentioned how like he told Jay, like, I told you to fucking back down out of this, you know. And then I feel like we got a side of Jay Uso that we haven't really seen that much, and that was like, he was no longer like the happy-go-lucky yeet Jay Uso. Like he had a fire under him in that little back and forth promo, and yeah, I don't know, it was just it was really good. I thought it was awesome. That again, that got me fucking hyped for this match.
Yeah, I would say I thought Jay kind of was struggling a little bit. I mean, he's just too happy go lucky, and Braun is not that opponent you want to be a happy go lucky. But the second Braun came out and they were jabbing at each other, it was awesome. It was seeing that fiery Jay, which I think he needs to show a little more.
Yeah.
Like the Yeet thing is cool, I like it, but let's get more fiery Jay, because
Yeah.
that was
It was
definitely awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely a step in the right direction for this feud that they're building here. So
Yeah, that brings us
Yeah.
to tag team title match. This is the first time Judgment Day has defended it in 71 days. They won it and haven't defended it since. So
which is fucking crazy.
that's insane.
Which I guess is a kind of a testament to how good the storyline with the Judgment Day's been, because you never fucking thought about that.
yeah,
It never crossed my mind at all that they'd gone this long without defending.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long. I was just like, oh, well, I did question it, like, when are they going to defend it? But it was like way in the back of my mind, and then
Because there's so much going on
But
with that
exactly.
feud that it's just like nobody gives a fuck about the titles right now.
Yeah.
Which is almost, we'll talk about it here, but
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
keep going.
I think the real story behind this is there's more division between New Day going on, and it
Yeah.
really came out. So Karrion
Really
Cross's
came out,
seed planting is finally
It's-
growing to fruition
yeah,
here.
working.
What happened was, LWO came out to have New Day's back, and it got chaotic, and the ref got distracted with
Can I
Kofi.
jump
Yeah,
in real
go
quick?
ahead.
Before the match even happened, though, we got a segment with Xavier Woods kind of not confronting necessarily, but just kind of like getting in with a conversation with the Terror Twins and Jay. And he was kind of essentially just like, hey, we want to do this on our own. So,
Mhm.
like, no matter what, please just let us do this. Stay in the back.
Mhm.
Like, we
That's a
we
good point.
we appreciate the idea that you guys would want to come out and help, but like let us handle this. We want to prove that we can handle this on our own,
Yeah.
type of thing, right? And then we get the Judgment Day doing their shit like they normally do, and then the LWO comes out to interfere to try to help the New Day.
Yeah.
Then continue.
And then, so chaos ensues on the outside. Kofi's intertwined with, I forget who's on the ground, Carlito, I think, or JD, but the ref is distracted. Xavier essentially does have the pinfall in the ring to win the tag titles, but
Yeah.
no ref to be seen.
Well, Kofi had hit the fucking splash off the top rope to the whole group.
Yeah.
Like right before this too, right? So it was just like clearly kind of showing that like his head's not necessarily in the right place, even though he's trying to help, so it was just like one of those things. But to Xavier Woods' standpoint, like, Kofi, where the fuck are you? Like, where are you at?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And now the ref's trying to break up the chaos while Xavier clearly has a 3 count going on in the ring.
Yeah.
So
Which turns around and JD takes out Xavier Woods, and Finn Balor does the coup de grace while
JD has him in like
holding
a
him.
sleeper
It
hold.
wa-
That was
It was brutal for sure.
That was definitely. I was like,
Uh,
oh my god.
and gets the pinfall over Xavier. Kofi says, "Oh man, we got this," and Xavier's like not having any of it. He's
Pissed.
He's pissed, and we get to a promo later on, and Xavier Woods confronts Kofi about why was LWO out there? Do you think I can't do this on our own? And Kofi brings up Big E used to have our backs, and again Xavier's just like, dude, we got this. We don't need anyone.
Yeah.
And And I kind of see where point was coming from.
Yeah,
I was more siding with Xavier. And then to add to the point, he didn't even know about the plan of having LW coming out.
Yeah, because Kofi says, like, I asked them to have our backs. And then Xavier Woods is like, why do I not know what is going on here? And this is multiple times now where with the now apparently no longer with the company, potentially Odyssey Jones situation, that whole thing. But when that happened, like, that was Kofi bringing him into the group without Xavier knowing. You know, there's something else that happened without Xavier knowing, and now this is just kind of those things that, like you said, with carrying across the seeds that are just kind of like building and building. We're working towards the implosion of the New Day.
Yeah, so I was hating on the storyline early on, but now it's starting to have some payoff to it.
Yeah, now that
we're
carrying
seeing something
has nothing to do with it, it's actually starting to get good. Thanks for planting the seeds. You did your job. Now go away.
Shoo.
We get another video promo for the Wyatt Six. I felt like it was very fitting for the soon to be turning to fall and spooky season and all of that. It was very fitting for that. But the big takeaway here is we got a QR code that popped up on the screen for not very long.
No, it was a quick
It was
second.
not up there for very long. I was feeding my daughter and my phone was on the other side of the room, so I couldn't even get to it. I had to look it up later. But yeah, and the QR code led to a web journal. Right, that had, I mean, there was a bunch of stuff. There were like different excerpts and stuff throughout it. I did some digging into it and got Reddit feeds and just people talking about like what they're trying to think. Brought you to there was like the web journal thing, but there was like a prompt that you could like type into or something, and then it like from what I was reading, like everybody was saying no matter what you type in, it brings you to one specific video or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like everybody was like saying like, oh yeah, we typed in this or this, I typed in this, and it was bringing everybody to the same thing.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so I was hearing a lot of stuff that was like saying stuff like she, but then there's all like talking about her and saying she and stuff, and so people are wondering if like this is potentially Alexa Bliss, like a reference to that, or oops, won't say that name again.
Bliss.
Yeah, Bliss. Damn technology. But yeah, and then there was also another thing that was saying like brother, and then it said something about brother, and then like when you need us, we're here. Or something like that, and so people are like, is that like a reference to Braun potentially, or I don't know, there's stuff. What was your takeaway from it?
Yeah, I mean, I read through all the links, and I think there was even some like location posted in one of the pictures or something. Just seemed like a lot of gibberish, but I didn't read more about it, so I'm glad you did some research on that and what people are saying, because I think we all agree. We kind of like these mystery things that go on, and if done right, lead to good things. And I think this adds to the part where we were talking about last week, just what's next for Wyatt Six and getting past American Made. And so sure. I think they did this pretty sleek. So
I another thing that popped up while I was reading through it, and obviously like some of this is. Another thing I read too was that there was a lot of stuff from this QR code on Raw that also was showing a lot of stuff that had been in a lot of the other build-up videos too.
Oh, okay.
It's like excerpts from all the different things that they had like other QR codes for and stuff, just other clues and phrases and sayings and coordinates and like the God damn it. There's like the Bible verse like lettering and stuff. I just can't think of what the fuck it's called. But yeah, that type of stuff. But people were saying that they're, especially with the way that like the Bray Wyatt documentary ended and showing like the final product of the brand new Fiend costume, people think that the Fiend, like they're somehow like they're going to bring the Fiend back somehow.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how they would go about that. I don't know if it would be potentially like Uncle Howdy takes on that persona as well, maybe somehow or something.
I like that.
It would be interesting.
Yeah.
Especially now that like I would be shocked if Bray's not inducted this year.
Mhm.
That makes sense to me now that like they kind of gave it the time to pass by for everyone to, they everyone thought it would be last year, but it was
Mhm.
so fresh
Yeah.
that they inducted his dad, and so like, but I think they were like, just out of respect to the family, they didn't do it last year
Mhm.
just to not have it be so fresh. But I would be shocked if it wasn't the headliner this year.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be surprising to me. So I'm wondering if like with that now kind of potentially being a thing, like maybe if they could get to a point. I've also read stuff that his wife, who was JoJo, right?
Yeah, JoJo. Yeah.
Has even like talked about and had interviews about like how she would love to get back into the
Wrestling
company
world.
and like manage a
Oh,
team, even like not necessarily wrestle, but like be like a manager. Somebody obviously had said like, would you manage the Wyatt Six? And she had said like, she was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like
Mhm.
that's
Maybe that's
fresh,
the she.
but maybe that's the she too. I don't
Yeah.
know. But everyone has always thought, because it's the Wyatt Six and there's only 5,
Yeah.
but there's like the side where people are like, the 6 is Bray,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just like the aura of Bray Wyatt, which would
Yeah.
completely make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then the 6 could also potentially be Alexa Bliss, because what fucking better way to bring her back to the company and
Yeah.
have her re-debut, essentially. That would be sweet. So anyways, don't know necessarily. There's nothing conclusive coming out of this, just like nothing else that has been with any of the video things with Wyatt Six. It's always just like a question and keeping you guessing and keeping you interested, which they're doing a really good job with. So
Yeah.
Meat Fest.
Meat Fest 2. Meat Fest 2.
I wish they would actually label it that. That would be fantastic. Meat Fest 2. Yeah.
We got Braun Strowman versus Big Bronson Reed #2, and the match really does not take off because the ring is falling apart.
Yeah,
Bronson Reed is throwing fans at
literally chucked a human
Strowman.
being at Braun Strowman. That was crazy. At first, I didn't know. I was like, who just interfered? Like, I was like, somebody just jumped the barricade. Like, did Bronson Reed, like get back up?
Yeah.
Like, that would be kind of a weird ad. And then they're like, he just threw a fan. I was like, oh, that was literally just somebody in the crowd. Bronson Reed just grabbed. Obviously, it was a jobber of some form, but like, it was like he just grabbed somebody out of the crowd and threw him at Bronson Reed or at Braun Strowman. I was like, fucking Christ.
We get barricade falling apart. They go through the back, and Braun Strowman is just beating up security. We get
some of the spots that these guys are hitting are like the type of like Braun shoulder blocking Bronson Reed into like the like they have like the big equipment cases, and like he like launches into it and it falls and he goes over it. Like, these are spots that you would have pictured like Bubba hitting to Jeff back in the day. You know what I mean? Like the way Bronson Reed's like flailing over the top of a car and landing. These are big ass motherfuckers to be doing these spots.
Yeah,
it's super impressive. It's super entertaining.
It really is. And then we get them going through a table, which then leads to them going through a wall. And ultimately, Bronson Reed is the one that comes out of all the rubble. And dude, I am here for everything Bronson Reed. They are packaging.
And Braun Strowman, dude. Yeah. Like, it's a very, because they pack it. They could have very simply, and I think it was a good thing that Bronson Reed got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and obviously I mean this with all utmost respect, I don't want anyone to ever actually get sick or be ill or anything, but I'm just saying, like, for the storyline, because it allowed then Braun Strowman to be, after he just got fucked up on top of a car, come back and he's all banged up and bandaged up, and then go through the 2 weeks that he went through with the triple threat match he won, and then trying to win the
fatal
four-way, to just show how much of a fucking just powerhouse he is. He's all fucked up and he's still like a threat. Yeah. And now you get Bronson Reed coming back to just continue this and build this more. I think it ended up working out as perfect as possible. Like, it worked out way better than Bronson Reed just coming back the next week and being in the triple threat match.
For sure.
Right? Like, this was way better outcome all around, top to bottom of the whole card, of just the ripple effect that it had. So
yeah. Dude, I think this is one of the best things going on Raw. I'm glued to the screen when Bronson Reed is there. They have done really well by him and his booking right now. So excited for that.
Yep.
Any more thoughts on that, or you want to?
No, not really. I mean, I think I said kind of everything I have to say on that. It's just like I'm excited for the Meat Fest 3 because we're gonna get it.
I hope so. I hope so.
But eventually they're gonna have to call it Meat Lovers. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm excited for it. I don't feel like there's been too many, at least, times over the years where you get two guys that are like that monster type of image and character that they're portraying that are this fucking good against each other with the chemistry they have with like and actually like putting on entertaining shit. It's usually like you know what I mean? I'm thinking like Great Khali.
Almost.
Yeah, almost. Which is unfortunate because the motherfucker can actually move. He's just been booked really fucking terribly. Yeah. So like that's not necessarily on him, but like Khali was probably like the epitome of this entire fucking thing I'm talking about. It's just like the only good shit that came from the Great Khali was when he was working with Taker. Unfortunately, we got a Punjabi prison match. Nobody fucking, that was not good. But everything, like, Taker can save anything.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, Taker can make anything work and make anybody look good because that's just, he's the greatest, literally, to ever do anything inside of a ring, probably.
Yeah.
So, anyways, moving on. We get Sammy. Sammy coming out on the mic. Fucking great.
Throwing down.
throwing it down for sure. And he is calling out Gunther again for this, the third week, maybe the fourth week in a row. He wants this fucking title shot. He wants to prove himself. He's tired of not being taken seriously as a legit singles competitor at the top of the card. This brings out, Imperium's music hits, and you're like, all right, here we go, Gunther, and then here comes Ludwig. And then it was actually a really interesting kind of back and forth between Ludwig and Sammy, because Sammy's, kind of just like, yeah, you're fucking Gunther's pawn, right?
Yeah,
like
your mouthpiece.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're a mouthpiece. You do all of this bidding for him. So Sammy's taking shots at both guys here and there. This brings Gunther out to what looks like not a very happy Ludwig that Gunther is coming out right now because he kind of wants to hold his own and prove himself as well. And, it all kind of just starts. Gunther actually confronts Ludwig first, and then Ludwig ends up attacking Sammy.
Yeah.
And so it all ended up kind of being a ploy to set Sammy up. It seems like, at least, there doesn't really seem to actually be any animosity between Imperium at all. Yeah, I mean, this led to a pretty brutal beatdown on Sammy by Ludwig,
but then Sammy gets the upper hand and gives him the haluva kick.
Shit,
and that angers Gunther. Where I'm a little confused is just the way Adam Pearce said, "We got your next opponent, Sammy," but then Gunther's still declining this title match. So that part a little confused me, but I mean,
here's the thing,
leading to it, right?
It doesn't confuse me that much because it has been obvious that Adam Pearce has no control over his roster. I will say this until something, until something. And the thing is Adam Pearce is super entertaining. He is. So I don't hate it, but every week there's just something that just makes him look like a fucking awful GM. So I'm not actually hating on Pearce. I actually really enjoy Pearce in that role. I think he's good for the business. He's good for TV and all of that. But it is just like the way they keep booking shit on Raw. Everything goes to chaos and goes to shit. The shit hits the fan every fucking week in some regard, and it's never always the same people. It's like, across the entire roster on Raw, he has no control over it. So like that's the thing where I'm just like, it's not that surprising that he's like, oh yeah, this is your opponent. And Gunther's like, No, it's not. I am the captain now. You know what I mean? Like that type of. You shut up. I make the rules, and I'm just like, okay, sorry.
We'll talk about it later on, but Nick Aldis gets right into it
He's so good.
immediately,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Versus
there's-
Pierce, who
yeah.
comes after all the destruction's done.
And I think this is happening on purpose. Like I think this is like a thing that the company is doing purposefully,
Yeah.
because Michael Cole, since he switched, has made multiple jabs on commentary about how, like, one of his first things he said was, "Oh, I'm so happy that Nick Aldis actually has control of his roster," something like that,
Yeah.
like along those terms. So it's like they're actually they're acknowledging the chaos that continues to take place on Raw.
Yeah.
You know, and like how like Michael Cole pretty much said like he's happy he's a part of a safe working environment now, like that
Yeah.
type of stuff. So
Exactly.
it's just wild.
That brings us to Io versus Bianca. Dude, this match just killed it.
It was awesome.
It was a
It
great
was.
match. Io and Bianca just have great chemistry in the ring, and they really brought it out. It was just kind of a put together match. Kairi Sane injured herself leading up to what was supposed to be her versus Bianca. And so Io took her place, and I'm glad she did, just because there hasn't been a lot of bright spots in the women's division.
I was just going to bring that up.
But besides the
Outside of
women's
the world titles.
yeah, the world titles,
outside of
and
the world titles, yeah.
this was that bright spot. I
Yeah.
know you did have a qualm about the ending of this match, though.
And it's not necessarily a hit on the match itself. I think
No.
it's more of a recurring theme that I'd like to see them get away from, because we've talked about this before in recent weeks too. It's just there's been a lot of like roll up finishers,
Yeah,
which is like every now and then, fuck yeah, sweet, actually makes sense, you
Mhm.
know. But that was how like one or two of the Andrade Carmelo matches ended. I know the first one Carmelo won was out of just a random, like a out of nowhere schoolboy roll up that fucking got the win for him. It's been multiple other times you just get like a really good fucking match and then it ends kind of anticlimactically,
Mhm.
right? Like when you have a really good match like that, you don't want to see it end by out of just like a basic fucking maneuver.
Yeah,
You know, it would be like hitting a fucking DDT and then rolling them up and getting the pin, right? Anymore, because a DDT or a super kick anymore, right? Like those aren't finishing type things anymore. And so yeah, it was just like an out of nowhere roll up and Io gets the win, which was like, again, the match was fucking awesome. It was a toasted match. I loved it. And this, I think, kind of is another, I think really my qualm with it is going back to why the fuck's their name? It's
Unholy.
Alba and Unholy Union. Thank you. Like, why did they win that fucking match? It makes no sense, because now you see Io, and now obviously you got both Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai, I think both hurt
Yeah,
right now. So like in the long run, it wouldn't have ended up working out anyways. But damage control against Bianca and Jade is such a good fucking matchup. That's what they should be going for.
yeah,
Not Alba and Isla right now.
No.
Like they need more work. I think they're on the right path for
Mhm.
sure. And like clearly the company believes in them, which is awesome.
Yeah,
But damage, they're so good. And
Yeah.
like the chemistry that they had, like we said in the ring, is amazing. So
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. Those are my things. I don't think it's a hit on
No.
them at all.
No,
it
not
was,
at
It
all.
was just like kind of an unfortunate booking to how the match ending, I think.
I think they just want to protect Bianca and it not be like the definitive finish where Io shuts her down, right?
Yeah,
You know,
and I get that
Yeah,
for sure. I
but
definitely
I
get
agree
that.
with you. They do it too often.
And again, if it didn't happen that often,
yeah,
then this wouldn't even be a talking point,
Yeah.
right? We wouldn't even be having this conversation. It would have just been like, oh yeah, Io fucking got the better of her on that day. Cool. But again, like you said, it protects Bianca. I'm totally here for that. But I just think, like we said, it has happened. I would probably say on average, it's happened like once an episode almost.
it basically
in
happened on
matches.
SmackDown too. We'll get to that.
Yeah, it did. It did happen on
So-
SmackDown, which that one, for the storyline purpose, makes more sense. We'll
Yeah.
get to it. But still, it was the similar idea, right?
Yeah.
So,
I just
Yeah.
think they lean on it too heavily.
I do
If
too.
you're not gonna,
If it was a one-off thing where it was just Io rolling up Bianca and you're like, oh shit, she just got the pin out of that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, cool. But now you see a roll up and you're like, fuck, the match could end right here.
yeah,
Where like I don't feel like that's how the roll-ups should look. It should be like oh, they're gonna kick out. Oh shit, they didn't kick out.
yeah,
Now it's they're probably not kicking out.
yeah.
Oh shit, they actually did. And that's not the way you want your fan base watching it. I don't.
Yeah, and I think
So
they just lean on it too heavily. Like if you're not gonna put over someone, then don't book them together in a match. Like right,
Yeah.
you know. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously you got a certain number of superstars, and you want everyone looking strong, but just there's got to be a different formula to it versus just interference and roll up pins
Yeah.
all the time, right?
for sure.
So sorry, we digress.
Yeah. It's worth talking, right? That's what we're doing this for. We get Priest versus Dom in the main event of the night. All around good match. I think it actually that kind of put over Dom in a way.
Mhm.
While Priest ended up winning, it was one of, I would argue, one of Dom's better performances in the ring against a true like competitor
Mhm.
outside of his father,
Yeah.
right? So I thought it was good to see Dom, because like every other time we've had any interaction between the Terror Twins and the Judgment Day, now it's been Dom running from Priest. So like
Mhm.
to actually have them score off one-on-one, I thought that was awesome. It was a good match. Obviously, interference out up the ass like there has been in all of the situations with this, which I don't think of. Episodes ago we had talked about like how so many of the matches have been ending in interference or involving it in somehow. Yes, it's still happening, but I think it would be like you expect it with the Judgment Day, so it would be weird if it didn't happen now.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing that keeps happening, because it's just like they don't give a shit. They're going to get they're going to do whatever they can to get the win or to get the upper hand or whatever, and that's just kind of who they are. So it plays well. Yeah, Rhea come out still a little hobbled. She's without the crutch though now, so that's good. But she's still a little hobbly. And then obviously Judgment Day, you get different things happening. Liv finally puts Dom's foot up on the rope for a rope break for what should have been a 3 count, and then you get a fucking pretty wicked spear over the commentators were not ready for this
No.
because Wade Barrett could not get out of the way. Like he took one of them straight to his body. Like
Yeah.
he went to the ground and everything. It was like, oh shit, man. Like Rhea speared Liv over the announce table. That was one of the better ones we've seen. That was
Yes.
awesome. But then you end up, all said, you get Damian Priest hitting wicked south of heaven. Like we talked about JD selling that shit. Dom does a pretty goddamn good job of it
Yeah, he
too.
did.
He fucking went up, and I feel like it looks even more devastating because Dom is like a foot taller than JD. You know what I mean? So like to see Dom go up that high as he did, it was like holy shit. He came crashing down. Priest gets the 3, but as soon as it's over, he gets jumped.
Yep.
Right? He gets jumped. Liv gets or Rhea gets in the ring, then Liv comes in, and then now they're both getting beat down again, like it's been almost every Raw for the last couple weeks. And here comes Jay. That's what we've expected. Here comes Jay. He's got did he come out with a chair again? I think.
I want to say he did. Yeah.
I think he had a chair in his hands. He's coming down, kind of doing. It was kind of weird though, honestly. He was like crouched down, walking kind of slowly towards the ring, like he was. Like that's not necessarily the way you should save people. Again, music hit like we alluded to last week too. But before he even gets to the ring, we see a hooded character out of nowhere hit a pretty brutal spear, and it's Braun Breaker. So we talked about last week how we didn't get the attack on Jay. Well,
here it comes.
Yeah, here it is now this week. And yeah, that's how the show pretty much ends. Is all 3 of them down. Jay is. I think this was the culmination of him kind of dipping his toes in too many bodies of water.
Yeah.
Right? You're in something right now. You're in what's about to be the fight of your life against Braun Breaker for your first singles championship. And I get you got friends, but you got to be focused.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like a clear you're not focused, Braun's taking advantage of it type thing. So
For sure.
curious to me where this might go from here. But yeah.
Yeah. The only, I guess, qualm I have about the main event was just like, why does Dom need to take a loss here? Because it was a good match, and if you're just gonna do the same old beatdown, why not just do the beatdown to close out the show? Why does it have to be a match to do it? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I kind of disagree
Okay.
just because I feel like that's what we've gotten every week for the last couple weeks is like, I mean, how many times has the show closed with Judgment Day standing tall over them just off of a beatdown where like there's a promo and somebody came out and then somebody else came out and then somebody else came out and then, it just kind of turns into that and then they're standing tall. So I actually felt like this was a nice change of pace to actually have it be a match. Yes, while there was the interference, it still had a clean finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to have Dom beat Priest in a one-on-one.
True.
More than likely, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's necessarily super believable unless there is a bunch of interference that leads to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of felt like it was a good way for them to continue this build towards everything, keeping Judgment Day on top to close the show, but while also continuing to establish Priest dominance, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
So
glad you said it. I think overall the Raw was a really good show.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
The 3 hours really flew by on this one. I thought Raw did really well. I was excited about this show.
Yeah,
talk about it. Brings us to SmackDown last night. We got LA Knight versus Andrade, set up by Andrade's win over Carmelo in the best of 5. They didn't really call it that, but we did. And so Andrade wins, gets a title shot, and dude, it was a great match. It was. Andrade is shining, LA Knight is shining. I thought overall good match. LA Knight wins, retains the title. I thought it was just an awkward after match. Like I get like there's not gonna be like this mutual thing, but it didn't feel planned at the same time where LA Knight puts up his fist and Andrade goes to do like a hand hug kind of thing, and LA Knight doesn't really change his tone, and Andrade grabs his hand and like forces them to hold it. I thought that was a little weird.
So I liked it because I felt like it was purposefully awkward.
Okay.
I felt like it was purposeful. I felt like it was them showing that mutual respect, but also still showing differences in their like animosity to a point, because it felt like he went for the fist bump. Andrade saw the fist. It wasn't like they did it at the same time and just did like this opposite thing, right? And that's why I feel like it was planned, was because of just the timing of it. Like he puts his hand up for a fist bump. Andrade looks at it and he puts his hand out to like either shake or do like the bro hug type thing, right? And then they both just kind of stand there looking at each other's hands like they're in like this stalemate, like, no, I want this. No, I want this. Which one are we going to do? Like that type of like I respect you, but I'm also standing my ground here type of, that was the feel I got from it. And then Andrade was like, fuck it. And just like forced it. And then he put his hand up, right? Like, it's like, fuck you. But yeah, you were the better guy, better one today type of, that was how I felt about it. Like, I kind of liked it.
I guess it just hits too close to home to me. I never know when to shake or fist bump anymore. Okay. Hey,
just
like,
hump. Just hump. All you got to do is just hump. No fist bumps, no shake. Just walk up and hump, and then like you catch everybody off guard, and then at least you're consistent. You know what I mean? That's the important piece.
I was at work the other day, and someone,
did you hump a customer?
No, I did not hump a customer.
Come on, Tim.
But
we've talked about this.
The employee was close to his last day, and I was like, well, hey, it's been good working with you, and I go for the handshake, he goes for the fist bump, and then I switch, he switches. it just maybe that's why I had an issue with it.
Dude, I'm a teacher. I do this shit all the time, and I love it because kid, I'll be walking through the hall, and a kid will be like, "Smart, what's up?" And I'll like go for a fist bump, and I'll like go to do the fist bump, and at the last second, I'll just grab the fist and just go like I'm like shifting gears, and the kids are always just like,
Damn it, Smart.
what, way to ruin it. Way to ruin the moment, Smart. Just walk away. I try to make things as awkward as absolutely possible. It's always great.
Later on in the night, we get another interaction with Carmelo and Andrade, furthering their feud, which may ignite into that triple threat we were talking about.
Well, we actually got like a for sure. So I think part of the reason why they didn't call it a best of 5 series is because we're getting Andrade Carmelo 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they put that up on the screen at one point.
I must have missed that.
I'm trying to remember because like I said, I kind of watched SmackDown out of order. I watched like the last 3 quarters of it last night, and I watched the first half hour this morning. I can't remember when I saw that, but I saw that during SmackDown last night. So that they put up like the 6th match is happening, I think, next week on SmackDown.
There we go.
So it's not a best of 5. They're going for the 6th. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to pull this out to be like a fucking best of, like, I guess you can't really do a best of 10 because you could even it at 5, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like if
best of
they
9.
just keep fucking going, because it's been, those two have put on the best matches on SmackDown over the last month and a half.
Yeah.
Now. So I wouldn't be surprised. They're just like, dude, keep this shit going as long as people are like eating it up, because they're so good.
Yeah.
So hopefully we still can get that fucking stipulated match that I was hoping for between these two.
There we go.
Or end up with that triple threat. That would be, all of it would just be great. So anyways, this leads us to, we got a really cool segment, promo, whatever you want to call it, between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. They met at Georgia Tech's stadium, which is where Bad Blood is going to be taking place. And it was really fucking cool how it was filmed. It was something that, like, it's just kind of it's the new way that they're doing stuff, right? It's a new way they're filming stuff. It's that all the newness that's going on at WWE.
Very cinematic.
Very cinematic. But it was really cool, I thought. Like, it was a really, like, we haven't seen this type of thing. And this kind of goes back to one of the questions that you had posed a couple weeks ago, was about, like, the video promos, like the video package promos before big matches. Like, this was not that. It's not that same thing. But, I mean, it's pretty fucking close. And, like, this is, I really liked this match. Then also we got the Chelsea Green video promo about like the dumpster match against Michin that's apparently taking place either next week or the week after or something. I think it's in 2 weeks. I think it's when they go to Nashville is what they said. But yeah, so like just like the way it's filmed, it's something new, it's something different that we haven't really seen before. So I liked it a lot. But it was a really good little back and forth between the two of them, and how like this is where Cody's from, but this is also where like that field is, like Roman played on that field. He played college football for Georgia Tech on that field, right? Like he talks about he had blood, sweat, and tears multiple times on this field. So he's like, this arena's mine, or the stadium's mine, this town's mine, like all that stuff. And Cody kind of rebutes it with, or rebut? Is that the right word? Rebuttal? To shorten rebuttal, is it rebut? Anyways, he comes back at it with any people that are good with words, let us know in the comments how I'm actually supposed to say that. He just comes back with like, right down the streets this, up the streets this, over there's this, like I was like, I grew up here type of thing, like this is where I was born type of idea. And just more of the animosity between the two of them, but having to put their differences aside to be a cohesive unit for the greater good almost at Bad Blood. So just more of a build there. Interesting to see where this is going to be going between the two of them. Yeah. Because it just doesn't feel like, and this is why when I completely missed the fucking whole thing about it being a tag match last week, that it like, I was like, fuck, but it made sense to me because of just the idea of, I just don't feel like there's any way that it's done between the two of them.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that really this this promo right here really drove that home. That
Mhm.
they're not on the same page,
Yeah.
but they will be for this match. I thought just everything about it was awesome. It was a new feel to it.
It was cool.
Like it wasn't
It was
your
really cool.
typical promo, and I like where it's going. And then that leads to our next, KO's watching on the TV.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about it last week where we think that this could be where Rock turns on Roman because he's teaming with Cody. Look at it from the other spectrum where
Yeah,
KO
we didn't even think about that.
KO has had so much history with the bloodline,
yeah.
and here is Cody
Who's
teaming.
supposed to be like one of his best friends in the company, now teaming with the enemy. So
Yeah.
same idea, just different from the different side of it, right? So yeah.
So I thought that was perfectly done, showing his like reaction.
Yeah.
They try to get his thoughts in the back, and he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna go talk about it in the ring."
Yeah. Twice he tried to get. The first time he just walked away,
Yeah,
and then he came back out. And what's the interviewer's name? I'm having a hard time.
I can't tell you.
Fuck. But yeah, he tried to get it once. KO just walked away, and then he finally was like, "Hey, now that you had a couple minutes to kind of think through it."
Oh, Saxton.
Byron
Saxton.
Saxton, yeah. And he was like, now that you've had a couple moments to think through it, can I get your thoughts on what we saw happen between Cody and Roman? And then KO's like, you know what? If I'm going to say anything at all, might as well go out there and say it to everybody. And he just walks out. And
I mean, he gets out in the ring, he doesn't even get
doesn't even get a chance to really acknowledge anything.
The Tongans come out to interrupt and get in the ring, but DIY comes to his rescue, which we were alluding to. Nick Aldis is on point and is there to
got out quickly. Didn't let shit spill out into the crowd or backstage. Nobody went and left in an ambulance.
He's like, no, we're not going to do this. This is going to be our main event. It's going to be DIY and KO versus the Bloodline, the new Bloodline.
Yeah.
Tongans and Jacob Fatu.
Yeah. We get the tag team match that was set up the previous week on SmackDown between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton against Bayley and Naomi for, multiple. There's a good amount of stipulation in this match. Whichever person, say Bayley and Naomi win, whichever one gets the win, gets the pinfall or gets the submission, will then face Nia Jax at Bad Blood for the Women's Championship. If it's the other way around, Nia Jax and Stratton win, whoever gets pinned or gets submitted has to leave SmackDown permanently. So, big stipulations involved in this match. All around, I think outside of the outcome of the match, I think my biggest takeaway from this match was it really just showed what level Tiffany Stratton's on in the ring. She's amazing, dude. She is
good.
So fucking good. She is one of, if not potentially the most athletic, best female wrestler on the roster. She's so good.
I would agree.
So, and I mean, Bayley's so good in the ring. It literally, it seems like that everyone in the ring's outmatched when they're in the ring with Tiffany Stratton. It's so impressive to see for her to do some of the shit that she's doing, and just clean and smooth, and it's just second nature to her. So, anyways. This, we alluded to earlier, was the other kind of roll-up for a finish, which at least this one made sense with the story.
Yeah.
So, obviously, whoever gets the pin over Nia or Stratton, whoever gets the pin to win that match between Bayley and Naomi would face Nia Jax. It ends up being a double roll-up to win the match, right? So, Bayley and Naomi win. They were both in on the cover. So there is no conclusive victor there. And this leads to what will end up being a one-on-one match between Bayley and Naomi next week to determine the actual number one contender at Bad Blood.
I thought this should just led to a triple threat match. Give us something different. I get that they want to prolong it and drive a wedge between Naomi and Bayley. And I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
I think just for new match sake, just give us a triple threat match and let the feud build up between the three of them and go from there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I also like because that would have been definitely new. It would have added a different whole new thing to what we have going on there. But it's also like Bailey needs to win this match, in my opinion, next week. They just kind of threw Naomi into this main event picture without really doing anything since she's come back to truly earn that. So that's where I'm like, what the fuck is Naomi out there? If there's a triple threat match happening at all, I want it to be Nia Bailey and Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah.
Why is Naomi out there? As good as she is and can be in the ring, it's just, which is maybe questionable. I think she is very athletic in the ring, and she has good moments, but there definitely is like moments where you're like, you should be better for as long as you've been doing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just feel like the triple threat, like you said, would have been new and fresh, but Naomi has no business being in this picture, in my opinion.
I agree.
So.
It would give more reason for there to be more Tiffany Stratton out with a triple threat match. We've already seen the Bailey, Nia, and Tiffany wrinkle in there. So it's going to probably be rehashed, and maybe there will be more Tiffany drama with Nia, but I could be wrong. But I agree with you. If we have to pick a winner between the two, I want Bailey to win and wrap this up.
For sure. All right.
That leads us to the main event, which right before we get an attack on DIY, who was supposed to be KO's partner. Bloodline just obliterates them in the back. Again, they're using these cases a lot in the
Dude,
equipment.
The way he took out Ciampa.
And those things are heavy duty, man. But they are using them in every backstage side segment,
dude.
and it's brutal, man. So they get taken out.
Well, he did. Jacob Fatu did the running, like the running, like, you know, butt to the face that they do, like the running hip buster or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, that they do in the corner when they're sitting down. He did that to Tommaso Ciampa up against those, but he hit the fucking top one and it flew, and he flew over, but he like landed on his feet out of it. It was how easy he rolled out of it. It was brutal looking, man. It was crazy. Anyways, this leads to
KO comes out alone, and then Street Profits fill in, which makes sense. Bloodline has attacked both DIY and Street Profits, and so it made sense.
What I loved about this beginning part was KO's out in the ring. It pops up on the screen. He's watching DIY get attacked, and he just starts laughing because he's just like, yeah, I figured this shit was going to happen. And so he's just like, fuck it. If I'm going to get my ass kicked, I'm going to get my ass kicked on my terms. And he rolls out of the ring and just starts fucking going up the ramp. Out comes the bloodline. And he's just like, no hesitation. He just starts fucking going at all three of them. Yeah. This is why I love KO. Because like his character of just like, I will fight Owens fight, right? Yep. Like he's I will fight anyone, anywhere, in any fucking number game. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm fucking here to fight. I want to fight. And he just continues that persona, which is great.
And I love, to your point, I just love how he goes, I knew this was going to happen. A lot of superstars play the dumb card, like, oh my God, they're getting attacked.
Yeah, he's just like,
he plays into every kind of trope of wrestling. Like he is like the Deadpool of WWE.
He really is. Yeah, he really is. That's a good connection.
I love that about KO. Yeah. And so we get a match between KO Street Profits versus the Bloodline. Dude, it was a good match.
Great match. Great match. Nothing to be upset about with it.
Again, Tongaloa is just the outside guy who never really gets in the match, but Jacob Fatu shines every time. Street Profits, super athletic guys.
I think Tama even shines more and more as he's in these moments as well. And I would... you're going to be surprised to hear me say this.
Oh my goodness.
Tonga, I think, is getting a little bit better.
I think they're giving him time to move up.
Yeah, they're giving him time. He's taking moves better. I haven't noticed the last few times they've been in the ring that he's really botched shit that much.
He actually pulled KO properly
twice, 2 times.
Yeah.
And this match ends in a fucking like a non-decision essentially. Yeah. Like there was just
too much chaos
shit
going.
Broke loose, and the ref was like, "Fuck it, match is over."
Throwing the towel in.
And then it leads to
Cody saving it.
Yeah, the Bloodline doing the beat down, and they're doing it more and more, and then they finally go after KO more, and then out comes Cody finally with a chair, kind of disperses everything, and you get a moment in the ring where it looks like KO's really contemplating using that chair on Cody, but it ends up ending with them embracing once again, and he keeps fighting those demons. So
I like the seeds of doubt, though.
Yeah.
I'm liking where this is going, and I think this is exciting for what a collision path they're going to go on.
Yeah. All right, and this brings us to our banger of the week, as we have been doing live on the episode, so neither of us know what we're going to say. Tim, take it away, dog.
I got to give it to Bronson Reed again, dude.
Okay.
And Braun Strowman,
Yeah.
just their segment alone, just it got me excited. What's going to happen with their feud? Bronson Reed has just been a shining star on Raw, and I'm glued to it. I'm glued to the screen. I'm here for everything they got going on. So
Yeah.
Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman got my banger of the week.
Awesome. Mine, I'm going to go with the U.S. title match. I'm going to go LA Knight Andrade. I thought it was, I mean, it was easily the best match on the card for SmackDown. I think it may have been the match of the week between Raw and SmackDown. And especially considering that these two have never been in the ring together.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was the first time they've ever had a one-on-one match. I don't know if they've been in tag situations, but I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So I think this was actually like the first time they have wrestled against each other, at least live, right, or taped, you know, I love one of the actual main shows. So, yeah, I thought it was really good. It was a really good match. And just seeing the chemistry that they were able to just like forge, having not done it before, was really impressive to me. And yeah, so that's my banger of the week. I do have a real quick runner-up, was the Jay and Braun Breaker promo. That was almost it for me. Like, that was going, when I was watching Raw, I was like, this is going to be it for me. And then I saw SmackDown and I was like, okay, I got to give the actual match is my banger of the week. But the promo, again, like we said, like, there have been moments where Jay has looked lesser in the vocal promos because of just like the character that he is right now, and this really, I thought, brought him to a whole other level, and it like added a whole new thing going into this feud. So,
and I have a runner up too, which was vice versa, where I saw the Bronson Reed segment and was like, oh dude, this is it. But then just seeing KO watch the TV last night, seeing the segment between, I was just like, dude, I didn't even, like, I brought up The Rock turning on Roman, didn't even think the other end of the spectrum, and it totally makes sense. So that was my runner up.
That's awesome. All right. Belts question of the week. I posed this. Those of you watching, you'll have to pardon us looking at our devices during this, but it is necessary. We have notes written down on our own respective things, because there are 7 different eras of wrestling, and the question is, what is your favorite feud from each era? So we have the golden era, which was like the 80s to the 90s, right? We have the new generation era, which was like 90 to the mid 90s, mid to late 90s.
Right, bumping up to 97.
Yeah. Then we have the Attitude Era, which was 97, 98, right?
Yeah.
To about 2002-ish.
I want to say 2002.
Then we have the Ruthless Aggression Era, which was like 2002 to about 2008. We have the PG era, which was 2008 to about 2014, I guess. Yeah. No, 2014. Yeah, about 2014. Then we had the Reality Era, which was 2014 to 2016. And then now we have what is called the New Era from 2016 till WrestleMania of this year, when now we're in what has only been deemed the Triple H era. We're not counting the Triple H era for this question because it's not over, right? Yep. Like, it's like we're looking at concluded eras of wrestling history. So we're looking at those 7: Golden, New Generation, Attitude, Ruthless Aggression, PG, Reality, and New. So
I hate you, by the way.
Yay! You
got me.
You finally hate me for a question. I love it. Really made you think, right?
Yes,
and
it really did.
Not easy at all. So, which is why we have our notes, because it's hard to kind of keep track of sometimes with all of the what we have in our head. So favorite feud from each era. I'm gonna let you go first for each one, but we'll bounce back and forth each era. So like you'll do golden, I'll do golden. You'll do new gen, I'll do new gen.
Perfect.
Back and forth, all right.
All right, for the golden era, this was the era I really didn't have a lot of history with, and probably most of the next one as well, the new generation, because I started getting into wrestling as the Attitude Era started to begin. So golden era, Macho Man versus Hulk Hogan. It was the implosion of the Mega Powers. It was ego versus ego. Who's going to be the top guy in WWE? Throwing in Miss Elizabeth to the center of that feud.
Absolutely.
Culmination at WrestleMania 5. I just, that two huge superstars, like ginormous
fucking
superstars, and
yeah.
That was the one for the golden era for me.
Yeah, ditto. That was also my golden era. Was the Mega Powers implosion, and we
went together for Halloween as the Mega Powers.
We did. Yeah, that is true. I was Macho Man. He was Hulk Hogan. We should throw that picture up on our socials.
We should.
That would be fun. Yeah. Anyway, I had a feeling you were going to go there too, but there are obviously plenty of great feuds from that era. That's a 10-year span. Great feuds in that time frame, but I don't know if there was one necessarily that was as investing for fans as that had as big of a impact on the culture and the landscape of wrestling at that time as that.
Yeah.
Because especially back in the 80s, this was real. Like people were like, this was their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so having Miss Elizabeth involved, having the two of them be such fucking imposing just threats as a tag team, and then it all just a year-long build to implode at WrestleMania 5, it was huge. So yeah same. I had the exact same one down. So what do we got for new gen?
New gen, this is very close to becoming the Attitude Era. This is like blurring that line, so hopefully it does fall into that. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold.
Okay. That's definitely. I think that's definitely the new gen era.
They had a match at Survivor Series the year prior to their match at WrestleMania 13, which led to that iconic Stone Cold bleeding out, and it was like a match where their roles reversed. Stone Cold was a heel, Bret Hart's a face, but in the match, Bret became the heel, and Stone Cold was becoming the face, and it just led to arguably the biggest superstar in wrestling history, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Rattlesnake, and just seeing that iconic him passing out with the blood dripping down his face, that's what I got for new gen. What about you?
My new gen, I have Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Okay, yeah.
This was one of obviously it's cycles in wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of storylines in different ways get reused, just like sitcoms, right? Just like television and movies and stuff like people pull from other things. But this, to me, was like one of the real true times where it was like seemed super personal, in wrestling, right? Because there was always like in the golden era, everything was so flamboyant and everything was so like put up on a pedestal, and it was so big. Where this was like when it started to turn more like these people are humans. It's personalized. It's gritty. It's all that. I mean, I still to this day remember watching Marty Jannetty get thrown through the pane, the window pane, the glass, and just bleeding. And it was like two best friends turned on each other. And there's not a whole lot in wrestling, I think, that you can relate to more than animosity and a feud between friends. Yeah. Right. So easily. It was like, for me, I was like, that's definitely up there. Like when I was thinking new gen, I was like, that's
the launching pad of Shawn Michaels, who when doing research for this, his name pops up in a lot of these eras.
A ton. almost every single era
Yeah.
outside of the golden era.
Yeah.
Michaels pops up at some point in different feuds.
Yeah.
So, and maybe not as much in the Attitude Era, just because that was like throughout those 4 or 5 years was like when he was hurting and injured and out a lot. But he still had a lot of him, he was like
involved.
his presence was there. So that's mine. What do you got for
Dude,
Attitude?
that's a good one. Attitude Era, Undertaker versus Kane. It could have easily been like a Stone Cold Vince McMahon or Stone Cold and Rock, but just the mystery behind Kane, the brothers.
Yeah,
they were
absolutely.
It was epic feuds. It led to an Inferno match. They had a great match at WrestleMania. I love the feud. I like, what's ironic is Kane debuted at Bad Blood. And in that Hell in the Cell match, ripping off the cage, getting involved, setting up the Taker feud. Yeah, I think just their feud, and that feud goes across the eras as well.
Absolutely,
throughout wrestling,
for sure.
What about you?
I went with the I think the face of that era. I went Rockin' Austin. It's one of, I mean, it's the go-to. It's like I think the automatic one. It's it's really one of the only feuds that I can think of that went 3 matches like year after year type thing, like 3 big matches, where it was, I mean, obviously we have like currently going on, we have Carmelo Andrade, but that's not, that's like mid card. There haven't been a ton of main card rivalries that have gone like as many times with such iconic matches. Like you could literally pin any of the 3 matches as some of the best rivalry matches in history. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was, I went Rockin' Austin for the Attitude Era.
They had great matches, great chemistry.
That might have been too easy, but it was also like you shocked me. I don't know if you saw my face when you said Undertaker Kane. I was like, I really thought we were going to be on the same page with that one. So I'm happy we were separate. Yeah. That brings us to Ruthless Aggression. What do we got for that?
Ruthless Aggression. I got Edge versus Cena. This
same.
This began at New Year's Revolution with the first Money in the Bank cash in.
Yep.
And I read that they faced each other 35 times throughout their feud.
Yeah,
and
man.
Each match was toasted. Each match was a banger.
Absolutely.
And
it was fucking huge. And
Edge being my favorite.
Yeah.
I just like it just.
And at the time, Cena was my favorite wrestler for fucking 15 years. You know, like he was everything he did, I was happy with.
Yeah. I can't think of a bigger feud across that time.
That feud, you could argue that like Cena really was the start of the Ruthless Aggression era with just the fucking his debut promo with the phrase to Kurt Angle in the open, like the open invitation.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think you have that he literally said ruthless aggression and then attacked Kurt Angle, right? It's like that was the starting point of that. But the Edge Cena feud like cemented them as the top performers for fucking 2 decades.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
honestly,
like really. So yeah, that was a no-brainer for me to have that. The fact, like, I think it's a testament to this feud with like the culminating match was the TLC match in Canada. That Cena won that match.
Yes,
and got the pop he got in Canada. Right, like that was how much this feud had like really like blurred the lines of reality and just wrestling, and it wasn't just people are like, oh yeah, Edge is from here, we're rooting for him no matter what. It was like people were invested in this shit, and Edge had made himself such a heel in the feud, and Cena was such a babyface that it was like in the hometown of the other person.
Yes,
it was one of the biggest. It had to have been one of the biggest opposing pops. You know what I mean?
Going down to the PG era, right?
Yeah,
we got Summer of Punk, Cena versus CM Punk.
I knew we were going to be on the same page. I got Punk versus Cena too, dude.
It was the pipe bomb. I think you've said it in a couple of these eras where it felt real. It
Yeah,
felt
dude.
like CM Punk's contract is ending, and
Yeah.
like this is when I felt like the internet was a huge part of what was going on in wrestling. So
Absolutely.
you're reading about CM Punk hasn't signed a new contract. He's letting it all out on the mic, and Cena just happens to be the champion at the time. You got Vince McMahon involved trying to get him signed to a contract, and CM Punk's like, I'm going to take this title and leave. And then culminating at that Money in the Bank match in Chicago, just epic.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it was one of the, and like this is not just me saying this. This is like, if you look at it, that match is looked at as one of the best matches of all time.
mm-hmm.
It was like Dave Meltzer is like a prolific, like reviewer of these things. He gave it it was a 5 out of 5 match. Like it was so good. Yeah. Hard not to fucking pick this feud.
It was just
PG.
Especially during that time. I think we can agree, like, these next few eras is when wrestling took a big dip.
Big dip. Definitely.
That was just, that got me.
Like, it was the high point of the PG era, hands down.
Yeah,
I think.
and
like,
I think,
like, I don't know that there are, because there are obviously other things going on in the PG era, but I don't think there's something that holds a candle to the Cena Punk feud.
Agreed. All right,
that brings us to the reality era.
And I got to go the Yes Movement, D-Bry versus The Authority.
Same. All right, we're 4 for 5. What?
We were Macho Man.
We're 4 for 6 right now.
All
4
right.
for 6 right now, because it was New Gen and Attitude. We were not on the same page, but
again, this one felt real. Like,
absolutely,
the fans were very.
This was my answer to, I think, 2 episodes ago, when it was like the video package one that you talked about. It was that was one of my answers for it, because it was such an important and impactful, personal, very real moment in wrestling. So
I think just the blend of the crowd actually persuading something, whether we like it, maybe not, but it seemed like the fans actually had a voice into this one.
Absolutely.
And Daniel Bryan definitely went against the grain of especially what Vince McMahon was looking for in a superstar.
Yeah.
And to see him get pushed through all of that, and just, and then the culmination of him winning the title at the end of that night at WrestleMania 30. Epicness.
Awesome.
It was so good.
It was great. Yeah, absolutely. Just all of the back and forth between him and Triple H and him and Stephanie, and there was a lot of it felt personal, because there was a lot of actually very personal promos, like Daniel Bryan calling out Triple H for Stephanie wearing the pants in the relationship, like all of that stuff. It was like, that's not new. That's not stuff that's always been things where like Triple H has had to fight against the idea that he was handed all of this stuff to get to the point where he's at, like that's very real stuff. So it was, felt very obvious to go with the Daniel Bryan versus the Authority. All right. And the final one, we got the new era, which was 2016 until just this last WrestleMania in 2024.
Yeah. I wanted to do the Sammy bloodline thing, but I just felt like that storyline is still not concluded. So I didn't include it as my favorite, because, like I said, I don't think it's concluded fully. And it kind of blurs the line, because Triple H started taking over things a little before this Triple H era started. So I went with AJ Styles versus John Cena.
Okay.
I thought this was against what WWE has done in the past, where an outsider is put as a top guy in WWE. Like, Sting lost to Triple H at WrestleMania. We saw the guys from the Alliance really not come through, and it was always Vince just burying all these outside company guys.
For sure.
And AJ Styles comes along, beats John Cena for the title, and they had some great matches all together.
Absolutely.
During that time. So
sure.
that's what I went with, AJ Styles versus John Cena.
I actually had almost the same thought with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, because it would be really, really easy to go with that, because it was such a fucking awesome feud. Like the whole like inclusion of him as an honorary Uso, and then his turn on Roman, but also like he is the dagger that led to the Usos splitting. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
in a good way. And so like that was also, I had that thought of that as well, but then also the idea of where it's like all of this stuff's still going on, so not fully concluded. I went also kind of in the same vein, almost time frame of it kind of being the COVID world with like the Cena, AJ Styles. I went Bray and Taker.
Oh, okay.
The fucking cinematic match that they had.
Oh, you mean?
No, that was not. Sorry,
AJ Styles.
Yeah, AJ. God damn it, AJ and Taker.
Yeah,
the cinematic match that they had, I thought was like a pivotal. That was like one of the biggest things that they did.
Yeah,
in the COVID. I don't know why I was thinking Bray.
Well,
Sorry.
Bray and Cena did.
And Cena did the Firefly Funhouse match. Right?
Yeah,
I was crossing my chords there.
There you go. I said Cena. You said AJ. I said
AJ. You said AJ.
So,
Cena.
Yeah, I see how you got there.
I confused myself when I was thinking about it. Taker AJ match was the what did they call it?
Was it the Boneyard
match? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But it was in the world of COVID, which obviously the new era is from 2016 up. There wasn't a whole lot before COVID.
Yeah,
really going on. In the world of what was going on, there were no fans. There was nothing. A lot of the stuff that was happening on the weekly television stuff was really hard to watch because of that. Where it was like just the fucking people on screens, like
Thunderdome.
The Thunderdome. Yeah, it was like, for me, it was weird. It was, and it's not at any fault of theirs. Obviously, it was just a situation they were in, and they're trying to make the best of it. So kudos to them on that. But that match was, I think, the best thing that happened out of all of it.
Yeah.
It was super cool. It was very cinematic. Kind of goes back to like that promo with Cody Rhodes and Roman that we were talking about, right? Where it was very cinematic. It was a wrestling match done in the like vein of a movie being shot.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen anything like that before. So it was something new. It was something different that they had to do. Which honestly also is the Firefly Funhouse match was very similar. It was very cinematic and all of that. So,
but there really wasn't wrestling in that, versus AJ Styles.
Yeah, AJ Styles and Taker was an actual.
Yeah.
And
I believe that was Taker's final match at Mania, right?
I
think that was. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's weird to fucking think.
I know. Not his final appearance, obviously.
No,
but
because
he showed up this year at Mania.
Well, yeah, but that was his final match at WrestleMania. Yeah. But he, I believe, had a match after that, though. Didn't he have the Saudi match? Or is that before?
I want to. Yeah, it could have.
Was that before?
No, I think that was before.
Oh, was it before? Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
dude.
That.
I like the question. It really got me thinking.
It made you think. It kind of brought you back through the years and really like relive some stuff while we're thinking about it. This brings us to Blockbusters. We are talking a little bit about something that we were kind of like, we talked before this. I was like, I can't believe we haven't mentioned this before. Yeah. But you also brought up the idea that this week is the 85th anniversary of Batman.
Yeah, so it's fitting.
Very fitting.
It's very
and
fitting.
I did not do this on purpose, so it all worked out. But I put on here Joker Folie à Deux because it comes out on October 4th, which is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we have yet to talk about this. And so the first movie was fucking amazing.
It really was.
It was great.
At the time, it was the number one grossing R-rated movie.
Yeah,
that just got recently beat out by Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah. So and this, there's that, but then just the take on a comic book character that we haven't seen before. It really brought to the forefront the idea of mental health issues.
Yes.
And so I think it was like a really pivotal moment in cinema because you haven't really seen. I mean, you have in different ways, but like this was like outright. Like this was just like very blatant and very blunt about it. Like this is a person struggling with mental illness, and like that's what you're getting to. You're watching that play out live. So it's very real in today's age, and just with all of the kind of scary shit that is really happening in life around the world, they really played into it, which made the movie like that much more meaningful, I think, and very interesting. So
Agreed.
We're getting the sequel to this, comes out October 4th. Again, it is directed by Todd Phillips, who did the Joker movie. He also, before the Joker, he was really known for R-rated comedies.
Yeah.
He did Old School. He did the Hangover trilogy, among a handful of others. The trailers for this movie look fucking awesome. They look amazing. You have Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn in this. Harleen Quinzel is her name in this. And then obviously Joaquin Phoenix reprising his role as Joker.
Arthur Fleck.
Yep, Arthur Fleck. So I thought one thing that was very interesting to me to just read and see in some of the trailers is the idea that this is like partially a musical. And everything. And obviously I don't know how it's all going to play out, but it looks like a lot of it is like their alternate reality within their own minds is when like the musical stuff's playing out. So it's just another whole delusional type thing to the mental illness stuff and all that. So it looks really good. I put on here that I thought it was worth mentioning the title of it, Folie à Deux or Folie à Deux, depending on if you're saying it Americanese or French. So the title apparently means madness between two, or a mental illness shared between two people.
Okay.
So again, alluding and playing on the whole idea of just like that continuance of the mental illness kind of being the forefront of this character, which is a new take on the Joker that we haven't seen before in any other previous Joker. I mean, you've seen it, like you can watch the characters in all the other movies and obviously recognize that there are mental illness issues going on there, but it's never been just like an outright thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I was a little nervous when I read, like, because early on they talked about it being a musical, and I was a little nervous about that just because how awesome the first one was and what they did with it. I was like, they could just keep building off that.
Yeah.
But then when the trailer started coming out and you could kind of tell that it's blending this, like their reality versus what is
reality,
happening. I thought, oh wow, this is gonna be awesome. So trailer is well done. I'm really excited. I saw this movie in theaters like right before everything shut down. So it definitely was right before that.
Yeah, because the first one came out in 2019. So it was just a few months before. Everything went sideways. Last thing about this is I thought was an interesting little tidbit. I've read, I do a lot of reading, articles and stuff about this, just cinema and everything. And I read an article about how Joaquin Phoenix actually, which is backwards from what you would think, Joaquin Phoenix actually gave Lady Gaga singing advice on this movie.
Oh, really?
Which you would be like, what the fuck? She is an amazing vocalist. And that was exactly the advice he gave her, was try to sing poorly. Or something in that vein, at least. Essentially was because she is such a magnificent vocalist. She's amazing. That it was like, we don't want that. That's essentially what like we don't we want you in this movie because you're amazing, but we don't want your perfect vocals to come through in this. We want it to sound choppy and a little bad, and you know what I mean, like that type of thing. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I'm very excited to see this and actually see these musical sequences play out live, like in person on the screen. So yeah.
Anything with Frank Sinatra playing in the background of the trailers got to be a good thing, right?
Yeah. No shit. This brings us to another movie I threw on here, which I just saw for the first time a couple days ago. I kind of saw that it was a thing, and I kind of just scrolled past it. And then yesterday or the day before, I was re-going through some stuff, and I'm like, all right, you got to start getting prepared for the episode. Like, what do we want to talk about on this segment? I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting, actually. And I watched a trailer for it, and this is unlike anything we've covered on the show before. Yeah. It's completely different. It's our first, I believe it's our first foreign film, really, if you will. It's an Irish film.
Yeah.
So, it is completely an Irish film. It's totally takes place in Ireland. Everyone in it is Irish actors, pretty much. So I think that's really the first one that
that's the first one I can think of.
That we've covered. So it's really just a whole different thing. And it's also the first thing that we've talked about that deals with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So this
maybe
movie,
28 Days Later, that wasn't American, was it? I think that's British.
I guess that's I guess you're right. I guess that is true. Oddly enough.
That. Yeah. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah,
that's why I brought it up.
No, but anyway, so the synopsis of this. So the movie is called Small Things Like These. The synopsis of it is: while working as a coal merchant to support his family, he discovers disturbing secrets kept by the local convent and uncovers truths of his own, forcing him to confront his past and the complicit silence of a small Irish town controlled by the Catholic Church. The reason we just had the interaction we did when Tim brought up 28 days, 28 weeks later, because we've talked about all that previously on the show, is because this stars Cillian Murphy also. Oscar winner, Academy Award winning Cillian Murphy. Got to give him his flowers. One of the hottest actors alive today. And I don't know, the feel of this movie, watching the trailer, all of it just felt like it was just something different from what we've covered. So that's why I was like, I'm going to put this on here because it's just interesting to me. And it looks good. Mm-hmm. It looks really intriguing and thrilling and kind of scary all at the same time. Like, you don't really know what's going on in the trailer, but you can kind of you get a sense that something bad's happening.
Yeah.
So yeah. What'd you think?
Yeah. I just saw the trailer this morning, and the trailer felt very intense, but felt very emotional at the same time, and just the intensity of him washing his hands in between each scene.
Yeah, it just keeps coming back to that. So you're like, what are you washing your hands of?
Yes. So
right. So what is going on? But
the trailer alone has me invested in it, and
it was super well made. It was a really well done trailer because, like you said, you're getting these shots of things, intense things that are happening, and then in between each of those scenes, it's coming back to Cillian Murphy's character just scrubbing his hands. Mm-hmm. And so you have no idea what that is alluding to. You have no idea what it means, but you're like, it obviously means something. I want more. And they did a really good job of this trailer, making me be like, I can't fucking wait till this comes out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't know anything about it until I saw it on the notes. So
and I'm happy I took the time to actually watch the trailer and read about it, because there's when we're setting up for each episode, there's fucking 20 to 30 different things that we could talk about that are new information for movies each week. But for the most part, we just kind of cover the shit that made us want to do this in the first place.
Yeah,
right? It's a lot of superhero stuff. It's comedy stuff. There's horror movie stuff, but we have, for the most part, I feel have stuck to a lot of the larger not genre, I guess, but larger franchise type stuff.
Yeah,
and this was one that is, I feel definitely not in that realm. Yeah. And so I was
a festival movie, right?
But what brought me to it really was, I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Was because I have Cillian Murphy in it, and he's one of my favorite actors. And at first, I kind of wrote it off he's doing another side project. And then I just kept going, and then finally it caught back up, and I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I was like, fuck, I'm happy I did, because I'm actually excited. Small Things Like These releases November 8th, so that's coming up as well. We got a lot of shit coming out, man.
Yeah, we do.
A lot of stuff coming out, which brings us to something that just came out 2 days ago, The Penguin. The first episode of The Penguin came out on Thursday, September 19th on Max. This is a spin-off series and also kind of a sequel series to The Batman. Matt Reeves' The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne and Batman. So this show picks up right after, like immediately after the events of that movie. Like the episode literally starts with like news coverage of the aftermath of the Riddler's havoc that he wreaked on Gotham.
Yeah.
Right. So it's literally right after the events of the Batman. Once again stars Colin Farrell as the Penguin and also Kristen Milioti as the daughter of the Falcone mob family.
Yeah, Carmine Falcone.
Yeah, Carmine Falcone. So thank you. The whole time I was doing this, I couldn't remember his goddamn name. But she seems to be like throughout the first episode, seems to be like she's building to be the primary antagonist in this show, with obviously Colin Farrell's Penguin, Oz Cobb, as he is referred to, being the anti-hero, I guess was how you would see it. He's the focal point of the show, so he is technically the antagonist, but he's also a villain. Yes. Right? He is one of the next to Joker, he's like one of the primary Batman villains. So both Tim and I have watched the first episode. It's very down to earth. It's very like kind of street level feeling.
Yeah, grounded.
Very grounded. And we talked a little bit before this, but Kristen Milioti's character in this is unhinged. Like it's like her first interaction on the screen. You're just like, she's a little off her rocker. Yeah. Then you feel like you're going to get a good sense of this throughout, even more so than you already did in the first episode as it keeps going. And that was just like, it instantly like pulling. I was like, yep, I'm in. Let's do this. So
I like the groundedness of it. And I really liked what Matt Reeves did with the Batman. It definitely was a different take on the Batman's previous of this. And I like the mob feel of it. Like it feels like gang war going on in the show. So I'm really excited to see where it goes and if it drops any hints of what is leading to the Batman 2.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope so. At least I would be shocked if there wasn't some form of like the conclusion of this, at least season of the Penguin, not knowing if they're going to do multi-seasons or if this is just like a limited series or whatever. You would think that there would be some form of.
I'm just glad that this Matt Reeves universe is still up and going.
Me too.
Despite James Gunn taking over DC Studios. Yeah. So
that was one thing I was kind of concerned about.
Because they got rid of a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Of already done projects and everything.
With James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over DC and starting, they got rid of they completely exiled the DCEU. Now it's just the DCU. But they've let Matt Reeves just continue his thing in their own universe, separate of what they have going on. And I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. Like,
me too.
Like at the worst, if they were going to they're like, no, we can only have one, then it would be like, please, for the love of God, bring Matt Reeves stuff into what you're doing then, because it's just too good to just be like, oh, we're going back to Batfleck. Yeah. Right. So, and that's nothing on Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought it was actually pretty solid, but anyways, it was just like Robert Pattinson as Batman was really fucking good.
It was.
And Matt Reeves' direction of all of this is super interesting. So I'm excited for this to be continued as well. Another thing, talking about things recently released.
Agatha All Along.
Yeah, dog.
We got two episodes dropping on this past Wednesday on Disney Plus, and not gonna give away anything. Nope. Just keep it spoiler free. But what were your thoughts on it, man?
I loved it, man. I've been looking forward to this so much, and I read a lot of stuff. We've talked about it on here before. That they've mentioned how like the horror sequences of this show are going to be unlike anything that we've seen in the MCU before, and it's different, like a different style of horror compared to like Werewolf. God damn it!
Oh,
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Different than the horror sequences in Moon Knight, different than the horror sequences that will be in Blade, like all of those things. It's all like different styles, and you can definitely feel that already in just the first 2 episodes of this show. It's different style of horror mixed with the comedy factors, mixed with the kind of almost sitcom-ish play off of WandaVision with this being a sequel to WandaVision. So I loved it. I loved the first 2 episodes. I'm really excited to continue to watch this show. I feel like it very easily could have been one that was just like written off by everybody, and I hope that it doesn't end up happening because it is so far really good and really intriguing. So
yeah, man, I agree on all the points you brought up. I like a good mystery, and I feel like this show has multiple mysteries going on all at once, and the comedy side, I think Catherine Hahn is she's
amazing,
so funny.
And you bring in Aubrey Plaza, who's fantastic. They bring back Deborah Jo Rupp, who famously played Kitty Foreman.
That's all I can call her by. I don't know the actress name.
And they then you have a handful of newcomers, but you also have some of the people that played like the random citizens in Westview and WandaVision also reprising their roles as those same characters in the first episode of this too. So
yeah, well done.
A lot of continuity, a lot of well done stuff there. And again, spoiler free, but there were the a little creepy.
Yeah,
definitely some creep vibes going on with the last few minutes of episode 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, the way that things were moving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, oh, that's fucking creepy, man. So yeah,
and I got to give Kitty Foreman her flowers. She was a bright star in that last part of that episode,
good, dude. Just great. So
yeah, I'm excited to see where the season's going.
Same, and we may continue to talk about both this and Penguin as the shows continue. Just kind of like talking about how we feel about it. We will again continue to do everything we can to keep it spoiler free, though, as we're moving forward with all of this.
Yeah.
All right, that is the end of our Blockbusters news. We are for the first time in a while.
Yeah,
we're gonna do a game.
And this time, I'm asking the question.
This time is running the game.
Yeah,
I am the contestant.
You get to be the contestant, and we're going to call this...
Come on down.
We're going to call this the Blockbusters Trail.
Yes.
It's very similar to, what were you calling it, 6 Degrees?
It's a play off of the idea of the six degrees of separation, where like everybody is connected through 6 or less social connections.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was actually a movie thing kind of based off this called The 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where it was like everybody is somehow related to Kevin Bacon through movies in 6 movies or less type of idea.
Yeah.
And then you and Nathan used to do this. Me and Nathan have been doing we've been doing this for fucking years.
Yeah.
I'll let you, it's your game, though. I'll let you explain how it'll work.
Yeah. So very similar to what you're talking about. I'm not going to ask for 6 movies in between. At least 3 movies. We're coming up with 3 minimum. If you can think of more, keep it going. I like it.
So this is you're running this the opposite of what me and Nathan have always tried to do.
Oh, you wanted to.
We've tried to do it complete the chain the fastest, like the shortest chain.
Gotcha.
Nonetheless,
gotcha.
Continue. It's your game. I'm the contestant.
We got 2 actors. We want to tie them to each other through your connections.
Okay.
And we talked about 2 of them today. So
we talked about both actors today?
Yeah. So I want you to tie Colin Farrell to Cillian Murphy.
Fuck. Okay. Goddamn. Do we have a time frame on this, or am I just going?
Let's let you go.
Okay, we're going. Colin Farrell to Cillian Murphy. This might be kind of an awkward segment because I'm going to go into my head here for a few. You might have to narrate.
And the third movie could be the final. So like at least 2 middlemen.
Okay. My issue with doing this game that I always run into is I will get like 7 movies off one direction, and then I'll go another way and be like, oh fuck, no, that's not gonna work, or I need to do it somewhere else. So let's see. For the sake of the show, I'm gonna walk through my thought process here. I'm thinking Cillian Murphy, Dark Knight. That opens up a lot of doors for me.
Yeah, it does.
To be able to bounce off of actors there. So Dark Knight, you got Morgan Freeman, Christian Bale, Liam Neeson. You got Alfred. Why am I spacing on
Michael
Caine? So a lot of options there. A lot of good routes to go down on that. Colin Farrell. I've kind of gone SWAT
Okay.
with. Oh, am I spacing? No, Michelle Rodriguez was in SWAT. Yeah. Michelle Rodriguez, that's bringing me to the Fast and Furious franchise, which opens up a lot of doors as well.
Yes, it does.
So now it's just to make the actual connections throughout. Nathan's going to end up listening to this and being like, you fucking idiot. It's so easy.
I'll give you a hint. You did mention one of the movies that I followed the trail down.
So did you already do this? Did you already see,
Yeah.
like, you already connected it? I mentioned one of the movies already, huh?
Yep.
Well, I guess the only 2 movies I've actually mentioned was either The Dark Knight or Fast and Furious. Or
No,
SWAT.
Yep.
SWAT was the way you went?
Yep.
So, wait, no. I'm trying to remember who. LL Cool J, Michelle Rodriguez, Colin Farrell. Is it the person I'm forgetting?
Nope.
Oh,
No,
okay,
no.
okay. I was like, I know there's like a 4th main person in that, but I'm totally fucking spacing on it. All right, so, goddamn. See, my mind's bouncing all over different movies. That's the issue with having as much movie knowledge as I do in this game. Is I'm like, oh yeah, I start going one way, but then I'm like, oh wait, this person was in this movie. Now I can start going down that trail.
A few moments later.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I just did it.
All right. Here we go.
Okay, so I went Colin Farrell to LL Cool J in SWAT, LL Cool J to Sam Jackson in Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
Sam Jackson, I think that's the name of the movie. Sam Jackson gets eaten by the shark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Deep Blue Sea, because it has Thomas Jane in it as well. But Sam Jackson to RDJ in any of the Avengers stuff.
Yep.
And then RDJ to Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, so what did you have?
my path was Colin Farrell to LL Cool J in
Okay.
SWAT.
Yeah.
LL Cool J to Josh Hartnett in Halloween H2O.
Oh, shit. And then Hartnett to Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer.
Yep.
Okay.
We got to Oppenheimer in the
Yeah,
end.
we both, yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good call. Halloween H2O. Nice.
Halloween shirt and
Yeah. Perfect.
yeah. We both went LL Cool J.
Awesome. I love that game. I think that should be a regular occurrence on this.
Yeah.
So, all right. Awesome. This brings us to our Blockbusters question of the week, which I also posed. I said, name one action thriller or horror movie
Okay.
and one comedy movie. So 2 different movies.
Okay.
Okay. I put action thriller horror all in the same genre, and then comedy because it's obviously it's its own standalone type of thing.
Yeah.
But where the wanted actor, so it was like the original thought for the actor or the person who was originally asked or offered the role, whatever it was, turned the role down. Became like a now huge successful role or movie part, whatever.
Yeah.
So 3 things. I want you to name the actor who turned the part down, name the actor who finally ended up in the part, and then discuss kind of the comparison between how you think it would have been different, better, worse, whatever, with the original wanted actor compared to the success of the movie with what it actually ended up being.
Yeah. All right. So I went with an action movie for this, and the actors to turn this. This was multiple.
Oh, shit. Ooh.
It was multiple.
I like that.
Will Smith,
Okay.
Brad Pitt, Sandra Bullock turned down the roles of Neo in The Matrix. and Will Smith was doing or decided to do.
Sandra Bullock turned down the role of Neo.
Yep.
They offered Sandra Bullock the
Yeah.
role of
They
Neo.
they were gonna
make it
into
a woman. That's
that.
interesting. I knew of Will Smith turning it down. I didn't know of the others.
Obviously.
So say him again.
So Will Smith, Brad Pitt,
and
Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
And obviously ended up going to Keanu Reeves. And I can't see the movie without Keanu Reeves in that role. I think Will Smith brings he is an action star, but he adds comedy to it, and I don't think The Matrix needed that comedy side of things.
That's true, yeah.
Sandra Bullock, I really can't see in the role, but they had her eyes on her.
That would have made it, at least with Brad Pitt or Will Smith, it could have still been a similar concept.
Yeah,
I think gender swapping it makes it a completely different movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for whether it's right or wrong, I think it just is what it is. I think it's it makes it a completely different movie. So
yeah. So I think Keanu was the right call, and what ended up being a great trilogy. Yeah, I think they got it right in the end. So yeah. What about you?
Mine for that first kind of thing, I went more of the horror side of things. I went with The Shining.
Oh, okay.
Jack Nicholson obviously playing Jack Torrance in that role in that movie. The role was originally written for and offered to Robin Williams, which would have been fucking insane. Yeah. Especially at that time frame, because he was such a comedy guy at that point. So it would have been really interesting for sure. I think again, and this the third part of this is like discuss like the comparison between them and all that. I think it's hard because we know what it ended up being with the actors that it ended up in, and again, that's such an iconic role of Jack Nicholson's. Like, potentially could say that's like a career-defining role for Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
it's one of the number one things he's known for as that role in The Shining. But Robin Williams is also was also a obviously magnificent and brilliant actor, and I don't think he was given enough credit for his turn in dramatic roles, where he did a handful of them and they were absolutely fantastic. So I would love to see his take on that character. But
I agree. I just
did you know about that one?
I did. I did, and I think just seeing what he's done in dramatic roles, I would have definitely loved to see that. And just
1 Hour Photo. Did you ever see that movie?
I did not.
It was really good Robin Williams flick.
Okay.
Really good Robin Williams flick. And then there's another one that I'm having Insomnia.
Yes,
Insomnia, because that has Al Pacino in it.
Yeah,
too. That was also another really good dramatic turn for his. But 1 Hour Photo, you should watch that movie. It's good. I have it on DVD.
Okay.
So maybe next weekend when you're at my place, if you remind me, I can
swap
send
it out.
Home with
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's definitely worth a watch. It's really good.
All right. That brings us to the comedy side of things. I got Jim Carrey turning down the Elf from movie.
We have the same one. God damn it!
Well, he didn't necessarily turn it down.
Well,
but
he
did.
It
took too long.
Yes, it took too long. Yeah,
and then he didn't want to.
The script for Elf was written in 1993,
and
it was essentially offered to him in 1993, which was right around, maybe right before, or right after the success of Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura and The Mask and all of those things, where he had Jim Carrey's the only actor in the history of cinema to have 3 number 1 movies in the same year, which I think those all came out in 94. But yeah, and so it was written in 93. He was in talks to play it for fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
And then when it finally ended up coming to fruition, he did end up turning it down, simply just for the fact that he had already played the Grinch at that point in a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So damn, I was hoping we weren't gonna have the same one. I thought that one was gonna throw you.
I mean, I think he would have done great in the role as Elf. Yeah, I don't think it would have been a miss for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jim Carrey's, it's hard to have a miss with Jim Carrey, honestly, but I think it would have been a completely different tone of a movie.
Mhm.
Simply because, like, you think of Jim Carrey, especially in a role like what we know is the role of Elf now, but, like, you think of him in a role like that, you kind of think Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask,
Mhm.
where it was more of like a dumb, goofy,
Yeah.
right? Where Will Ferrell's take on Elf was Will Ferrell does such a good job of bringing a true as true can be child's innocence
Yeah, I was gonna
to
say
a character,
yeah.
right? Where it's like it's very believable that he plays Elf as a fucking kid in a grown person's body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which, oddly enough, Robin Williams did that in the movie Jack.
Yeah.
Which was also another really good movie, Robin Williams. But, yeah, so I think it would have been... I feel like the movie could have been just as good and just as well received as it was with Will Ferrell, but it would have been completely different movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Can I bring up someone's... I thought you were going to bring this up for a horror movie. I thought you were going to bring up Silence of the Lambs, and Michelle Pfeiffer turned down the role that Jodie Foster took because it was too evil.
Yeah.
I think Jodie Foster's did a great job. I think.
Yeah, it was. Again, that's another one that you could argue is like a career-defining role.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That movie really put her. I mean, she had obviously been in other shit before, but like that one was like the one that really I feel like solidified her being on the map of like she can hold her own in those types of roles.
Yeah.
So. And
then the other one I want to bring up is just and I don't think this person could have done a good in this role, and I want to get your thoughts on it. But Nicolas Cage turned down Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. Which went to Viggo Mortensen.
Fucking awful.
It
would have been awful. It's weird. I say this a lot with music. Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan for country artists. They're like very 50-50 singers for me. I'm like, I like half their music, and then the other half I fucking cannot stand. Like it'll come on and I'm like, I can't fucking listen to this because I think it's so dumb and so terrible. But then some of their shit, I'm like, yeah, this is fucking good. Like, it's really good. I feel like Nicolas Cage is an actor in that same vein for me, where I'm like, some of the shit he's done has been fucking amazing, dude. Con Air, Face Off, fucking the National Treasure movies.
Yeah.
But then there's other shit that he's put out where I'm just like, what the fuck is this? So he definitely is one of those actors for me where I'm not all in on Nicolas Cage in any way, shape, or form. And he has such a persona and tone to him, I guess, that would have made it very, very difficult, I think, to take him seriously in the role of Aragorn.
Yes.
Viggo Mortensen in that role is perfect.
Exactly.
So, I knew of that one as well. So, no, there's absolutely no fucking shot that I think that would have worked out well.
Yeah. The other one I had for comedy, but you let me go first. So was Christina Applegate was supposed to be Elle Woods in Legally Blonde.
Yep.
And also could not see it being as successful.
Yeah,
Christina, she's funny. Applegate's funny, but she's like got a super dry sense of humor.
She doesn't have that realistic, like
blonde,
ditzy, dumb blonde.
Yes.
But also very endearing.
Yeah.
Right, like Christina Applegate in most of the roles that you've seen her play, all the way back to Married with Children, is a very like dry, I don't need anybody, I can do this on my own type of thing. Like that's the role she played in Anchorman. That's how she was in the Dead to Me series. You know, like very independent, very like out, like a go-getter type of person. So Yeah, no, I definitely don't think that those movies would have like the cult following that they do had it gone to Christina Applegate.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Yeah, man. Fuck, dude.
There we go.
Episode 16, man.
Episode 16. Let's polish this off.
Hell yeah. Cheers, brother.
Let's fucking go.